Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Imran Ali Khan, lecturer in the Department of English, Cohort University of Science and Technology, Cohort. This is Code 326, Class 6 in Drama. This is introductory lecture about Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. The discussion agenda includes introduction to Christopher Marlowe and introduction to Dr. Faustus. Christopher Marlowe was Elizabethan dramatist. He was from humble parentage. His father was a shoemaker. He was educated at King's College, Canterbury, and Corpus Christi College, Cambridge, where he acquired heterodox views on religion. And after graduation, he became a Secret Service agent and in that capacity traveled abroad. He came to London in 1586 and settled there, and soon joined Lord Admiral's company of players. And his career as a dramatist might have begun soon after his career as an actor. He was stabbed in an inn by a Secret Service agent called Fraser in 1593. He died at the age of 29 years. Christopher Marlowe's fame as a dramatist rests on his six major works. The first one is Tamburlaine. Tamburlaine is having two parts. Tamburlaine is important because, as the chorus tells us, from jigging veins of rhyming mother wits and such conceits as clownage keeps in pay, we will lead you to the stately tent of war, where you shall hear the Scythian Tamburlaine threatening the world with high astounding terms and scourging kingdoms with his conquering swords. So it is about battle. It is about battle. It is about the unconquerable desire of Tamburlaine, who was a shepherd and who became a king, and now he tries to conquer the whole world. So in Tamburlaine we see that an ordinary shepherd, he became a king, and he is having ambition to conquer the world. Similarly, then we have the tragical history of Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus is a play full of fertile poetry and fearless imagination. Faustus is a man who sell his soul to the devil for living 24 years of life full of pleasures and luxuries. Then we have Edward II. Edward II. Edward II is an undisputed masterpiece of Marlowe, in which he touches his highest point of excellence. It is a historical and political play anticipating Richard II. And there is here none of the beauty and pathos of earlier plays, and none of their splendor and poetry. But it is important from artistic point of view. The Edward II is an artistic play that moves us by its very simplicity and humanity. Then we have Jew of Malta. This is, in its own day, it proved to be the most popular of Marlowe's plays. Barabbas, the Mediterranean moneylender with his voracious dream of wealth, foreshadows Shakespeare's Shylock. Dedicated to the spirit of Machiavelli, the play opens a new phase in Marlowe's work. It is a picture of the Elizabethan world of policy in which men were unscrupulous, bold, and cruel in power, and sometimes heroic in defeat. Jew of Malta is, however, stronger and more better than its two illustrious predecessors, that is, Dr. Faustus and Tamburlaine. Then we have the massacre of Paris. Uh, there are some brave, beautiful phrases, emotional and passionate lines, but the material is weakly managed, and the characterization is not vivid as compared to Marlowe's other plays. Then we have Dido, Queen of Carthage. For this, Marlowe borrowed material from Virgil's Aeneid and was left unfinished. It was Nash who completed and arranged it for the stage. The play differs from all its predecessors in that it does not paint or portray any lust. Uh, Carthaginian Queen is treated poetically and dramatically. This is the only play of Marlowe which has love as its theme and women as its central figure. Uh, Dido has silver arms and tears of pearl. Every common soldier wears rich embroidered coats and have silver whistles to control the winds. It is thus that Marlowe reveals his passion for describing the beautiful, his delight in luxuriant outward and visible loveliness. Marlowe's period of dramatic activity comprises of 6 brief years, that is 1587 to 1593. He is considered as the great dramatist because during this short span of 6 years he produced important works and established himself as a dramatist. His significance in some circle equals him to that of William Shakespeare, because Shakespeare in his life, that is, he was born in 1564 and died in 1616, so he produced 37 plays, while Marlowe in his brief dramatic period produced 6 important plays. Now let's come towards the recurring themes, the themes that recur across Marlowe's important plays. For example, if we look at Tamburlaine, Tamburlaine is having uh, ambitions, uncontrollable ambitions. He is arrogant, he is powerful, though he is lame. And then we have Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus is abusing power of knowledge, as Tamburlaine abused power of throne. So similarly, we have Jew of Malta, where we have the abuse of commercial power, and then we have Edward II, where monarchic power is abused, and rather than subduing it for the betterment of people, it has been used for personal gains. So the recurring themes are abuses of power, use and abuses of power. In Tamburlaine, there is abuse of power for his own personal satisfaction. In Edward II, the same monarchic power has been misused, abused in Jew of Malta. So commercial power has been misused in order to exploit people. Similarly, Dr. Faustus, though he is a scholar, he is a learned person, but he wants to learn necromancy in order to know more about the universe, about the nature of things. But when he signs a pact with the devil, so he uses the same power of knowledge for his own personal gains, because he just wants to play tricks with the Pope. He just to entertain the king, entertain the emperor. So that is, for small things he signs a pact with the devil and indulges himself in petty activities. While analyzing Marlowe dramas, we see that how individual ambitions negotiates with structures, that is the social structure, that is the religious structure. So this individual ambitions versus society. Uh, it might be called a theme of predestination. For example, the structure of society, a human uh, in spite of the sense of mobility, the structure of society ruins and makes one die. Human being is also under the burden of structures, that is under the burden of society, and actually Dr. Faustus rejects the idea of free will, though he was having a free will to act according to his desires, to decide about his future, but he was destined to opt for the role which society would punish. Individual must negotiate his desires with the society. If those ambitions are not negotiated with the will of society, so individual is confronted with social structure. As the social structure is dominant, so that individual might be punished for his wrongdoings. For example, when belonging to one's faith contributes to social growth, societal growth, and when someone deviates from that faith, so a sort of resistance is developed, a sort of negative will is developed, due to which, so as society is dominant, so it overcomes the will of that individual, and that individual has to surrender. So that surrender is of two types. In the first instance, that individual who confronts the will of society will abandon his views, and the second is that society will punish that individual for having views against the accepted norms. Now let's come to second point, that is Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus embodies eternal significance. Faustus typifies the genuine Renaissance passion for infinite knowledge. Before the drama opens, we know from the chorus that Faustus was born in a town in Germany, in his parents were base of stock. We also know that he got his higher education in Wittenberg, and he was Doctor of Divinity. The chorus also tells us that he had become puffed up with pride for having vast knowledge and scholarship. He was dissatisfied with his present position because he has learnt physics, philosophy, law, divinity, and all these branches of knowledge were absolutely inadequate for his purpose. That is, he wanted to have more knowledge, and that resulted in his fall, just like Icarus, who tried to fly with waxen wings beyond his reach, and he was fallen and he was destroyed. He's having an ambitious he's having an ambition to have more knowledge, to have more things at his command. Because that is why he says, "Yet art thou still but Faustus and a man." When he thinks about the divine knowledge, he says, "Divinity adieu." He considers magic as something good, which this because this is the only branch of knowledge which fascinates him. Why? Because this branch of knowledge will give him power, through which he will be able to dominate others. That is the reason that when he thinks about magicians, then he says, "These metaphysics of magicians and necromantic books are heavenly. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor, of omnipotence is promised to the studious artisan. All things that move between the quiet poles shall be at my command. A sound magician is a mighty god. Here, Faustus, tire thy brains to gain a deity." Magic has magic has become a symbol of power for him. That is the reason that he is inclined to acquire magical powers, and he signs a pact for the sake of knowledge, for the sake of power, but he descends to gratify his fleshly needs. This is the dilemma that a scholar like him, who should acquire necromantic skills for the sake of humanity, he acquires those skills for gratification of his own fleshly needs. Because when he learns necromancy, when he learns black magic, he pesters Pope, he entertains Empress, and bring out of seasoned grapes for the duchess. Uh, Initially, when he tries to sign the pact, good angel and bad angel appears. A good angel tries to stop him, because that will lead him to eternal damnation, while the bad angel instigates Dr. Faustus to sign the pact that will give him power. But later on, when he signs the pact towards the close of his 24 years of his life, he is alone, and he descends to damnation, and the devils are waiting to fetch his soul. Now, if we analyze this character, our hero, so if we look at his education and learning, he is having Renaissance incarnation, because the Renaissance inaugurates the skeptical mind in Dr. Faustus. He doubts what he has, and he is dissatisfied. But he forgets that there is limit to one's knowledge. There is limit to how far can one go and question. Dr. Faustus has tried to transcend the limits his association with any school of thought might have permitted. So his learning transcends the sanctioned to unsanctioned spaces. The sanctioned spaces which are allowed by the society. The unsanctioned spaces are those which are against the norms of society. So when he tried to move towards those unsanctioned spaces, so the society in the shape of Mephistopheles came to take him to eternal damnation. Towards the close of his time, he realizes that now the devil will come and fetch his soul. So he's having desire for burning his books. So Faustus learns by experiencing what he needs to learn. Experience is essential to all knowledge. He gives away his soul at a very small price to devil. To sum up today's lecture, we have discussed Dr. Christopher Marlowe as a dramatist. His dramatic activity consists of 6 brief years, that is 1587 to 1593, and he wrote 6 works, out of which 4 are remarkable, that is Tamburlaine the Great, Jew of Malta, Dr. Faustus, and Edward II. He also contributed to the language of drama by making blank verse more versatile. Then we discussed Dr. Faustus, a learned scholar who sells his soul to the devil for 24 years of life. He was a doctor of divinity. He was expert in physics, in law, and all other fields. But his main ambition was to have more power, to have more knowledge, so that he may be able to control more people, to dominate more people. For that, he opted to learn necromancy, that is black magic. And that magic, that black magic, paves the way for his domination, because he transcended the limit of human knowledge, and as a result, he was damned forever by Lucifer. Thank you. See you next time.